Everyone in the community thought that Kyousuke was going to be the next Donk when he made his break into Tier 1 on Falcons, but let's be real. Donk is Donk, and even though Kyousuke might not put up those numbers, he is still playing insane for his first team in Tier 1, and is definitely up for Breakout Player of the Year, as long as Molodoi doesn't get it. Falcons faced Astralis on Nuke at IEM Chengdu yesterday, and this is how Kaiosuk managed a 3.4 rating on T-side Nuke. And I have briefed this demo a little bit in a 2D demo viewer just to see generally what Kaiosuk was doing, but as far as the 3D demo, actually watching it in game, this is the first time I'm seeing this. It looks like they just have Nico top silo, throwing top hut molly, kicks in about a third mini smoke, and the A hit comes in. And something that's really important, because I have seen this piss around, is watch Monacy on this. So if you get blind, this is something you guys could take into your own game as well. If you get blind, you're not killing anyone, and usually it's because the CTs are trying to kill you. This is a small detail, but this actually ends up saving Monacy, is when he gets blind, he just starts jumping around. The Heaven guy peeks, can't shoot Monacy jumping, and it's forced to back up. Off of this, Kaiosuk is essentially baiting Monacy, and the timing when they go outdoor is really important here. It's right when the mini smoke pops. Mini smoke comes in, and the timing that Monacy is trying to take when he's coming outdoor is if there was a player mini who saw the mini smoke coming in, they're going to try and peek deep into door before the T's can get through this choke point. So Monacy's just trying to capitalize on if there was a CT mini just trying to peek. Kaiosuk is baiting him the entire way. Eats that second flash because he was blind when it was thrown. Gets on the site, gets bombed down, and that's it. And what we really are going to see from this demo is Kaiosuk isn't set up too hard as an outside player. He really just gets outside smokes thrown from him and is kind of left to his own devices. And it's up to him to read the rotates. This is really important as well as this crossfire that he's playing. You can't sit on this crossfire when you have a player indoor in your Asian vent, because you will get hard cleared. This is a very common crossfire. So he's just jiggling. And if he peeks and sees someone, he's going to kill him. If he unpeeks and sees someone in the middle of his jiggles, he's going to back up and let kicks and take next contact when they will be chasing down Kaiosuk. This is really important as well. This little fight that he takes, his pre-aim is perfect, crouch peek is perfect. He just mistimes the first shot, which is unlucky. But then this peek is something that I really wanted to talk about. This is a crouch peek, but this is a crouch peek in the terms of how tier 1 players do it. Crouch peeking isn't just crouching into an angle. It's peeking the angle standing up and then killing them mid-crouch. So from Hooksy's perspective, if he was allowed to have a reaction time, if Kaiosuk didn't kill him so quickly, he probably would have pre-aimed head level. This is essentially an insta-kill from Kaiosuk because his pre-aim was just dead perfect. But if this was a fair gunfight and there wasn't the door there to block the rest of Kaiosuk's peek, Hooksy would essentially always miss that first shot because of the crouch peek. And now look at Kaiosuk's crouch peek after he gets this kill. Same thing. Same exact thing. Where's Stairs' bullet going? Most likely directly over his head. Exactly. Misses the first bullet, immediately punished by a headshot. He does kind of bring it back, though, and kill Kaiosuk, and that is one of 2 deaths from Kaiosuk this entire half. Now, into the second round, just a normal default outside smoke thrown. Just spotting, see if there's any aggro from the CTs, and also something that's important to note is where he's playing it from. So it's not too uncommon the CTs will nade stack outside. I think he does leave himself open a little bit to this gap, but it could be a little bit of an anti-strat knowing that Astralis don't really ever nade stack outside. Not sure if that plays into it, but he's just taking good solid gunfights. He has an AK. He's not going to be fighting a better gun than it. And he's just lurking around and trying to find his own kills. And this is pretty much the extent of Falcon's support for Kaiosuk on a default round. The rest of the support comes from pressuring ramp to pull an outside rotate, pressuring A to pull the mini rotate, or even just going down ramp, committing Kaiosuk down to lower, and if Kaiosuk's in lower and there's a CT in lower, then the CTs are going to be forced to turn around, try and hold B site, and Kaiosuk flanks in the back. That's pretty much the extent of the support for Kaiosuk, and if you are playing in your own team, this is generally how it goes. This map is extremely CT rotate heavy, and if you're able to figure out which CT has rotated, there will essentially always be a gap on the top half of the map. That's what Falcons are playing for here, is they're threatening outside pressure. Kaiosuk is just trying to find kills if he can, but it looks like what they're going to do is they're going to take ramp and try and go A. Now, the reason why they would do this is because it's pretty standard off outside smokes that you'll try and connect with the lower guy through ramp. The CTs really only have one rotate after this, which is through vent. So if you're able to have the secret guy get down and hold vent rotates, you essentially just take the B site and the CTs lose. Because the CTs know this, it's not too uncommon that they'll overstack ramp off of outside smokes, because if the Ts try to connect, obviously you'll be stacked. So what Falcons are going to do is they're most likely just going to do a little ramp hit, come back, and hit A. And I've already watched the demo, so I know this, but I just want to explain the theory behind it, so if you're watching it yourself, you know what to look for going into demos that you'd be watching yourself, so you can just improve on your own. And the thought process is the most important part. It's mainly the why. When you're watching a demo, the how is really cool. If I see someone throw an awesome smoke, cool lineup, great. If I don't understand why they're throwing it, I can't actually use it in a practical way. So A hit comes in, and Kaiosuk peeks on this timing. When the mollies come in A, this mini player is forced to make a decision. Do I give A and fight outside, or do I commit into mini and try and help my A teammates? That's the gap that Kaiosuk is trying to hit, and he hit it perfectly on the device. After he gets the kill, scales into A, 3 kill on Magisk. And in the post plant, he's just kind of looking for kills. He knows that the CT's forced this round because they killed a scout and they killed a forced deagle. So you don't want to die because you don't want to give away any guns. Also, it would be nice to take away pretty much the only win condition Astralis would have on the next round, which is the saved guns with the armor. So he's just taking relatively low risk duels in mini, just trying to see if he can get a kill, but he doesn't want to push it and give the CTs an AK and armor into the next round.
The sponsor for today's video is SkinPlace. You have skins, right? Well, you can safely convert those skins into cash in just seconds on SkinPlace. Just log into Steam, select the skins you want to sell, choose from their wide variety of payment methods like Ethereum, Bitcoin, PayPal, and more. And once you put in your wallet address or PayPal, that's it. It's super easy and only takes a single minute to completely set up your account. I traded 3 skins to SkinPlace, and after the trade hold is up, that money immediately transfers into my wallet. Use the link down below and get to selling. Don't forget to use code POLOCS for a 2% bonus on your first sale. And yes, that is a 0. Now let's get back to the video.
This round, standard outside smoke. Kicks in through support util for an outside. He takes the same peek and runs essentially the same outside lurk, except this time it looks like he's going to try and get down. It's also really important as an outside lurker to try and pressure secret early so that the CTs have to respect it. The way that tier 1 is kind of played right now is it's just like a flip-flop of conditioning. It's rock, paper, scissors. If I pressure heavy secret and the CTs then think they need to play heavy secret or heavy fight outside, that's the round when they would adjust that we would hit A or hit ramp, and vice versa. This goes for every map, every position. He's just trying to do conditioning, so now the CTs have to respect those outside smokes every time they're thrown. Now, I remember watching this back in 2D, and I do think he peaked this too early. His teammates are just now taking ramps, so they're not giving enough time to force a lower player jiggling with a smoke out to make the decision, do I commit to lower or do I commit to secret? I do think this peak is a little early, and he probably should have waited a bit. Also, he might be pressing forward in case any CTs were behind him in the smoke, so he would just be trying to get ahead of it. I'm not sure which it is, but either way, takes a peek on Kyousuke. Kyousuke drops smoke, and Kyousuke comes back. Also, it's important to note that Falcons are taking heavy ramp, and they do realize the CTs are heavy stacked on it. They hear the scout drop down lower. There's an MP9 close. They trade out. So they killed 2 players on ramp, 1 guy's lower. If we are good at math, there are 2 players still on A. With this being said, though, because Kyousuke blocked secret, vent is a safe rotate for them, and if they see 3 players ramp, there's a decent chance they'll try and gamble stack lower. Because of this, Kyousuke takes his lurk up secret. If they try to rotate through secret or clear outside, Kyousuke gets gunfights. And if they rotate down vent, then we win the round because we are now going A. And we kill the player in hut. That's everyone who is A, so now we have to worry about a vent rotate because it means they rotated down vent, or they could be up secret. And the only reason why he's really holding ramp right now is just in case these rotators did come around here and go towards ramp to help the ramp stack. Now, they do need an exit plan, so that's kind of what Kaiosuk is doing. He's just trying to clear all these angles, make sure his team has a safe exit, because the bomb radius on this map is huge. Dies to Kyousuke. Tessus gets top silo kill because he came up the ladder and looks for Kyousuke. Something I also want to mention is Tessus has been playing really, really good on Falcons, given really horrible roles. I know the idea of cutting him has been floated, at least on social media. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it would be really sad to see, because I do think he's playing outstanding in the roles that he's put in. This round, simple ramp pop, no flash. This does look a little bit like an anti-strat. Something to mention is the other round, Stare also played in this corner when they're on ramp stack. It was actually last round. This could be a small anti-strat that he likes to play on the ramp or on this wall. So you don't really need to flash to come through the smoke. You walk through the smoke, use this wall to block because he wouldn't be able to see it. You check J-Hall. If you see nothing J-Hall, you hard clear the left. That that looks like what their game plan is right now. This might be an anti-strat. Because it's obviously extremely risky to just force it through a ramp smoke, no flash. But regardless, they get down on B site. And this is something that's really important as well, is taking double control. Every single time you go B through ramp, you have to molly double doors. You have to take double doors, because if you don't, then think of the areas that you have to look at on B. You have to look at glass. You have to look at double. You have to look at single. Single always gets smoked. Double always gets mollied. If you watch any pro demo, this happens the same way every single time. Just want to make sure if you guys are in teams or even in your pugs, if you're hitting B through ramp, please molly double door, take glass. Kicks in, lurks down vent, and kills 2. That's an insane timing he must have hit. I do just want to watch this back. Yeah, he was in a lurk smoke. Noisy rotate, so he just follows him down. Sees 2 kills. 1, 2. Perfect lurk. And Kixin essentially put himself in the spot that Kaiosuk is going to be in outside a lot. The same concept. You're just playing to backstab, playing to be a nuisance, not doing too much pressure, and always trying to stay unpredictable. Again, working on an exit plan, come up outside, and look at their money. Their money's pretty good. They have Tessas on 8k, Monacy on 5k. They can afford to lose a couple guns here. It's good not to get overzealous, but they could definitely go for some good hunts. They smoke, he nades. I think this is a bad idea. I honestly think he should have flashed and gone through if he really wanted those kills. There's such low time in the round. If you stop to throw a nade there, there's essentially no way, unless the CTs are horrible and standing in the open behind a smoke, there's essentially no way that you get a kill. If you nade, there's only enough time for them to tuck, and then the round ends, so flashing high and going through would have probably been the right play, and I think that's what Kixin was trying to do, getting close to that smoke. So last round they did a ramp pop. This round they do a ramp rush. And part of the reason why they could be doing this is because they hit ramp last round, and they essentially did nothing else around the map. The CTs might be thinking, there is no way they do this again. We know that they like the heavy outside default. We know that they like to play heavy A hits and A splits. So this was probably just their little like gotcha round, and they won't do it again. Unlucky, they're doing it again. They now have 5 players in ramp. Now, after we get ramp control, what's the call? Because this is really important. Once you get ramp, this is where you essentially make your end round. Either we go B, we ramp hell to A, or we go back lobby and just do an A hit. This round, they decide to contact ramp. I really like this, the freeze, because if you freeze, it's usually because you're not going ramp. Why would you not take the timing down ramp when you force the player down? So the CTs are most likely thinking, care for heaven wrap, care for lobby wrap, or fall back to lobby. But no, Falcons are actually just going ramp. They're just going super delayed. And fundamentally, this doesn't make too much sense. If you pressure heavy lower and then freeze, all you're doing is giving time for rotates. So so when you go into B, the CT should be 2 or 3 here. The CTs know this. They don't think Falcons would do this. And Falcons know that. Sick. Absolute blinder onto Magisk. And this is also pretty common. This silo angle. And it looks like Magisk was down here, ready for Falcons to come B, saw nothing, and said, okay, there is no way you're holding this. There's no way you actually committed ramp and are just holding this. But they are. This is impatience. Magisk said there's actually no way you're going B right now, and they were. Double molly on emo guy is insane. Kaiosuk should probably smoke single. Teammate does it, but he misses, so he re-smokes. This is also something that's important as well. If you're ramp rushing, you have a ton of util because you haven't used anything outside, anything on A, any mini smokes, vent lurk smokes, anything like that. So if you have 5 smokes by the time you get to lower B, if you just chain smoke glass and double, by the time the bomb goes off, the second smoke is just faded. So what they're doing here is they're not playing for glass, they're not playing for double. They're just going to chain smoke it for the entire post plant. The only issue I have with this is the missed smoke on single, because now they have to designate one of the smokes that they would have used on double or glass to single now, so they won't have as many smokes in the post plant. That's the only critique I would have, but it's kind of just unfortunate. These players just never miss a single smoke, so it's just unfortunate it happened. All right, Kaiosuk in a 1v1. Device knows that he's most likely silo. I don't think door is broken. Actually, door is opened. So from Device's perspective, Kaiosuk could actually be anywhere because Kaiosuk cut noise this entire post plant, and this is something as well that you guys could take into your own game. Obviously, if the other player doesn't know where you are, you have a higher percent chance of killing him. So just don't get overzealous in these post plants. Don't make a ton of noise. I see it way too much when I do demo reviews. And he wins the round because of it. This round, we actually get an outside default, and he does the normal jump spot. One of the reasons why he does the normal jump spot is because Device cannot possibly have an op on this round. Worst case scenario, it's a scout going for the pick, which is actually a decent percent chance Device gets this. But Kaiosuk is basically saying, if you have a scout, it is what it is. You most likely don't have an op. Lower percent chance I get picked. This is a great way to deal with the glaive smoke, by the way. Is just holding this little crack into Africa. This is a really, really good fight for you and a low percent chance you get spammed. I like that break on glaive smoke. Sometimes people will play behind that and hold top silo or hold the lower angle if there's a gap in this smoke to hold lower outside. So I like that way of dealing with it. This is the first heavy outside default they've done, and they've played about 4 gun rounds so far, 3 gun rounds so far. Lurk down into secret. Notice how he's peeking all these angles. The reason why he's peeking it like this, if he was solo, he would probably jiggle all of these out. The reason why he's committing to all these peeks is because look at his teammate. Right behind him. If Kaiosuk died on any of these angles, before the guy could even realize he killed Kaiosuk, Nico would be insta-trading. That's why he's committing to every single one of these peeks. Does he clear the off angle? Clears the off angle. Crouch peek on that. And this is a small detail as well, but the reason why you crouch peek on that angle that he just did, where he's looking right now, it's kind of the same idea as crouch peeking when you're car on Inferno and you're crouch peeking CT. People will never actually hold that angle unless it's either an op, in which case you need to be immediately accurate to get the kill, or they're jiggling with a smoke, which again, you need to be immediately accurate to get the kill. So he's just trying to maximize the amount of time that he's accurate when he's taking this peek. And one thing that we can learn from this demo that he's extremely, extremely good at is perfect crouch peeks. So right here, Nico gets a kill on Mini. And this is also a small detail you guys can take into your own game. Look at the shadow Kaiosuk sees on Device here. We're running that back. How does he miss this? Sees the shadow of Device about to peek, and the Device shift walk peeks this. Kyousuke was actually expecting Device to be better than he is. He was expecting Device to clear this. Because this is not a bad place to hold secret from. This is really not a bad place to hold secret from. You're playing on an off angle. So pro players know this, right? That there's all these off angles over here, so they usually give it out jiggles. Jiggles or commit peek. But Device actually shift walk peeked here, and it messed Kaiosuk up. And this is why sometimes when I'm playing pugs or I upload them onto my channel, I will die and I'll be like, oh, I wish I was a noob. I would have killed that guy. If Kaiosuk was a noob here, he's just putting his crosser on the corner. He doesn't know how Device is going to peek. He probably kills him here, right? That's the idea. Whenever you hear like a pro player or like a good player say like, oh, if I was worse, I'd kill that guy. These are the scenarios that they're talking about. Because Device showed his shadow and then shift walk peeked. Yep, come back up. Molly on credit. And it's okay to run it. You have a 5v3. You know that there was a guy lower. There's most likely not too many players on A. And the CTs did do a lobby crunch. I'm not sure if we were aware of the lobby crunch. Let me just go back and double check. Did we see the lobby crunch? Okay, if there's a player in hut, it's to be assumed that there's a CT either door or ramp, because there's no way a hut player would just turn their back to lobby. So the call from Tessa's here is most likely they crunch lobby. Kicks and nades heaven, plants safe. Taps it in case there's a player back silo. This is a really good way of clearing angles. If I am splitting A on Mirage and I come from mid, okay, and I don't have anyone who came through ramp, I only have a Palace guy, I'm going to go front triple and tap the bomb and bait the ramp player from peeking. If there is a guy ramp, they will peek. If there is no peek, there's no one there. Okay? It's just a very solid way of clearing angles without actually having any risk, right? Because if he were to clear back silo, he'd have to wrap around here, potentially die to hut, potentially die to heaven swing because Nico has to hold his hut from here. So this is just a really safe way of clearing back silo and guaranteeing no one's there. Molly into hut means Kaiosuk has to push. Yeah, he's 1 HP, free kill. And none of these rounds look insane from Kaiosuk. Obviously, he's hit some good shots. He's hit some really good shots. The Hooksy kill in Mini, the Magic's kill on B site. Nothing he's doing is too insane, though. A lot of his kills are shooting people in the back, killing people on 1 HP. And that's by design. His whole job as the outside guy is to catch timings and be a nuisance. This round, same thing. Smoke outside, spam mini wall. Here's Hooksy spamming. Hooksy definitely overstayed his welcome here. I don't think there's really any point in doing what he did. As soon as he shoots, he should just knife out, run away. He tried to throw a nade. He also kept his gun out when he was running away. He should just knife out. He actually might have lived if he was faster. It's a small mistake by Hooksy, but punished pretty quickly by Kyousuke. Yep, spam over smoke, drop towards red, outside smoke start coming in. And notice his... yeah. Oh my god, so much info. Okay, the mini guy just spammed. If that is the door guy, there is no rotate down lower, or if there's a rotate, it's the ramp player. There's no rotate down lower. Because in this scenario, right, if outside rifler dies, door guy rotates to block them before they can get deeper into secret. If there's a player mini spamming, there's either no one on A, or it's a ramp rotate. Right? Because the door guy would be rotated, and Magisk would be solo. Right? But if door guy rotates, this is Magisk spamming, there's no one on A. So, huge amounts of info were just given, and the molly on secret to top it off, which I believe was from Device. Let me just double check. Or it could have just been the same player throwing it. Was it Stare? It was Stare. Because the molly pops at the same time as spam going down. So 2 players still fighting outside after we already killed an outside player. This is huge amounts of info. Off angle again. So this is a micro thing, but this is something you guys should take into your own game if you are an outside lurk or if you want to be an outside lurk. This is a pretty good settle spot when nothing's going on. Mainly because of the shadow advantage. Alright, so the call right now from Kixin is most likely we're going to end A. Okay? Kaiosuk just says, yep, if we're going to end A eventually, I don't want to overplay my hand. I don't have to be directly close to mini on an A split. I can play kind of slow and secret, because if there's anyone mini, I just sprint flank, and if he starts fighting me, you guys kill him when you're going out A. So he's just taking his time, making sure he doesn't die, make sure the backstab is alive. Just checking. Also has to worry about a secret push. And as soon as Device says there's no way this guy is actually still secret, he's still secret. Stare stuck in a 4v1. Kyousuke plays an off angle, something that's also really important to note. Even though this is the last kill of the game, this is just how good pro players micro are. Because Kyousuke is playing an off angle, look where his crosshair is. Stare should not be clearing this and should not expect this, so it will most likely be a wide swing. Look where his preem is. Stare is actually doing a good job by clearing these angles. He's giving him jiggles. I think that one might have been unintentional and he was just trying to check mini. But this is something, again, you guys take into your own game. If you're playing an off angle, preem wide. This is something I preach in like majority of my coaching sessions. Crosshair placement is not one size fits all. It's very situational dependent. If you're in a situation where you're playing an off angle and you hear someone running around, it's probably going to be a wide swing, preem wide. Because his crosshair was a little off, he had to spray control his last kill, which was clean as well. But yeah, that's the end of the game. That was their T side. They won, I believe it was 7 rounds straight on their T side, with Kaiosuk dropping a 3.4 rating. And this kind of goes to show that you don't have to have donk level aim to put up donk level stats. You can do it by outbraining your opponent, which is essentially all Kyousuke was set up to do this game. He just always got into backstab spots, always was playing unpredictable, and I hope this demo helped show you guys just some ways of defaulting outside, and to show some bigger picture concepts that you guys can take into your own game and even apply to other maps. But thank you guys for watching, have a good rest of your day. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you want to see in the next video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.